I'm so grateful that this vicious person is no longer going to hurt another woman. But I want Americans to know that there are more like him in our country.
The verdict is in on the harrowing case that gripped the nation. The murder of Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 whose life was tragically cut short while jogging along the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland.
We learned that morning that she had gone missing the day before. And then a couple hours later, my son called me and he said, "Mom, there's someone here to speak to you." And it was the lead detective. He says, "Mrs. Morin, there's no easy way to tell you this, but we found your daughter's body." And sorry. You don't expect to hear that news. Like, you think, when we heard she was missing, we thought, oh, this isn't good because this is not like Rachel. But we weren't expecting them to find her so quickly, and that she was dead, and that she had only gone a few feet from her car. It was just so devastating. In the beginning of the investigation, they actually didn't give us any details at all because they wanted to keep the integrity of the case, like, very secure. And then we got a fuller picture when they filed court documents. And that's when we knew that she was raped. He had grabbed her off the trail that she was on, dragged her through the woods. They said that her body was blanketed in bruises. There was like 10 to 15 head gashes, and that she was strangled. And then they stuffed her into a sewer pipe for the trail. And that's where they had found her that day. It's been a little over a year, and I still get nightmares. It's like, as a mother, you just feel so bad for your child, but you also feel so helpless. I can't describe it. It's just very hard.
After months of investigation and a trial that exposed chilling details, the jury has delivered its verdict. Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, an illegal immigrant, has been found guilty of her brutal murder and rape. Joining me to unpack the legal and emotional ramifications of the case are Patty Morin, Rachel's mother, and Attorney Randolph Rice, who has been closely involved in the pursuit of justice. Now, together, we'll reflect on the profound impact this verdict has on Rachel's grieving family, the community, the entire community that mourns her loss, and the broader issues it raises about crime and immigration. Patty, Randolph, thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, sir.
Patty, let me start with you. It's good to see you again. And once again, I'm so very sorry for the circumstance. I wish we were here talking about anything else, but at least this is a granule of better news. It's certainly not good news, but there is some degree of justice here. So I'm glad that we have this result instead of a different one.
Yes, I am too. So thankful for the justice system and the hard work of all the law enforcement, and just very grateful for the verdict.
Was there a point that you had any doubt that a guilty verdict would come back, and were you surprised that they deliberated for only an hour?
In the beginning of the trial, because the family didn't know all the details of the evidence, I was apprehensive. Was this really the murderer? Did they really have enough evidence? Like, those kinds of things went through my mind.
Just one day after Rachel was found, the sheriff's office said a DNA sample was found at the crime scene and was matched to a man that was wanted for a home invasion and the assault of a 9-year-old girl in LA 5 months earlier.
A 9-year-old
correct?
Girl and a mom.
And
Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks. They had gotten the DNA, ran it it came back really quickly.
Yeah.
And it was just because of the crime itself. They wanted to find this person as soon as possible.
Right, because obviously this is somebody you don't want walking around, particularly
Yes.
the gruesome nature of the crime. And ultimately, they were able to identify him in Tulsa, Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
As the prosecutor, Allison Healy, presented the case, it was literally layer upon layer upon layer of information and evidence that made it impossible. You couldn't refute the fact that he was the murderer, that he was in Maryland, that his DNA was all over her body, his DNA was all over the crime scene. So in the end, I had no doubts that they had found the right person, and that the jury saw the evidence and they saw the same thing I did, that he truly was the murderer. And so I am very grateful to the jury for their conviction. And like you said, it doesn't bring Rachel back, but it does bring a year and a half, almost 2 years, to some kind of closure for our family.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that and that you feel that way. Randolph, is this a clean record? Will they try and appeal this? And did the evidence come in the way it should? Will this be a protected verdict?
Dr. Phil, that is a great question. And, every case, and typically when you're looking at a case where he's facing life without parole, I have no doubt that he'll find some reason to file an appeal. Will he be successful? That is yet to be seen in the appellate courts.
Is this a strong case they have against this individual? Is he likely to go to trial? Are they likely to plead this out? What's likely to happen?
We really don't know right now. The public defender who represents him has been playing pretty close to the vest. We've had a couple of hearings. He doesn't speak English, so he hasn't said much on the record. They're not releasing a lot of information. But as a former prosecutor and as a defense attorney, I know that individuals, a lot of times when they're looking at life in prison without the possibility of parole, which is what he's looking at, a lot of times they like to roll the dice. And they say, you know what, I'm just going to try my luck and see what happens. And maybe I get lucky, a lesser offense, and I don't have to face that life without parole. So we don't know. We've got trial dates set next year for him, and we just have to wait. He has to make a decision as to what he wants to do.
But it seemed that the state did a very good job of presenting their evidence. They were very methodical. They started from the very beginning. They made sure each witness got every piece of evidence in. And the defense had every opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. They did not do a lot of cross-examination. So I think the state had a very airtight case. I didn't see any issues that were appealable, but you never know. There's always one little one out there that they'll try to find.
Right. And can you tell us what all exactly he was convicted of so people understand? I know it's life without parole plus some other years. What all exactly was he convicted of?
Yes, sir. So he's convicted of first-degree murder, the premeditated murder of Rachel Morin, first-degree rape, which carries a life sentence, kidnapping, as well as a third-degree sex offense. Now, what the judge can do is she can give him life without parole. She can also run consecutive sentences, meaning one sentence after another, so that it ensures, while the life without parole will ensure he won't get out. But if she starts stacking those sentences, just in case that Maryland legislature decides to change something down the road, there's be no chance of him getting out of prison.
Right. And he was here illegally. And I've heard some people and read some things on the internet. This guy is not going to be deported. He's got to serve his time here. It's not that he's going to get deported out of this country and then skate some other way. He has to do his time here in a U.S. prison for a U.S. crime, correct?
Correct. He's got to stay here. He's not going to CCOT like everybody's, has been seeing on the news. He'll be serving that sentence in a Maryland Department of Corrections, either on the western or the eastern shore of Maryland or in the western mountains of Maryland.
If you're a business owner, listen up now. You won't want to miss this. Are you sure you're not leaving money on the table when it comes time to exit? Well, thousands of business owners have already used FYSI's exit strategy and valuation services to sell smart and profit big. Why? FYSI will help you plan and position your business for the maximum return. This is what separates billion-dollar companies from small businesses. And FYSI can help you secure your legacy. Time matters. So don't wait until it's too late. Use promo Dr. Phil, DRPHIL, to schedule your free $5,000 risk assessment at fysi.com/Dr. Phil or call 800-877-4000. That's promo code Dr. Phil to schedule your assessment for free. Visit fysi.com/Dr. Phil or call 800-877-4000 today. Let's discuss preparedness because we know emergencies happen when we least expect them, but instead of just taking it, we can prepare. Let's discuss Jace Case, one of your most important preparation tools. With Jace Case, you'll have emergency prescription medications on hand right when you need them. Think about it. Ever been caught off guard? Whether it's a sudden illness or a travel hiccup, the right medications can make all the difference. Jace Case is designed to take that worry off your plate. So when a minor health issue pops up, it doesn't turn into a major problem. Don't let unforeseen circumstances derail your plans or your peace of mind. Live with confidence. Take charge with Jace today. Visit jace.com and use code PHIL for a discount on your order and get emergency antibiotics on hand for the moment you need them. That's JASE.com, code PHIL, PHIL. For anybody that doesn't know what happened here, and you'd have to be living under a rock for the last couple of years because, Patty, you've done such a fabulous job in honoring Rachel and keeping this story out there in the spotlight, and we've tried to help in some small way in assisting in doing that. But so people know, on August 5th of 2023, Patty's daughter, Rachel, 37 years old and a mother of 5, goes missing after leaving home for a hike on what's called the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland. She was reported missing later that day, and her car was found parked near the trail. So they started search efforts involving local authorities and community volunteers. And I don't want to get too graphic here and traumatize you by having to relive this, but her body was discovered in a wooded area near the trail, and DNA was collected at the crime scene. Authorities announced that there was a DNA connection between the suspected killer and a man who had assaulted a 9-year-old girl and mother in LA during a home invasion on March 26th. So, I mean, this is this illegal immigrant that's in the country. He's all the way across the country doing a home invasion and assaulting a 9-year-old child. And video surveillance showed the suspect's side profile leaving the LA home. So all of this starts coming full circle. And the Morin family met Randolph Rice, by the way, who took this case pro bono, which means he hasn't made a dime or tried to make a dime from this whole thing, but has volunteered to monitor this. You say, well, there's prosecution. Why do you need monitoring? Well, trust me, if you've got a pro that is facilitating this, it makes a huge difference in the family being informed, knowing what's going on.
You had no idea if this case was going to turn into what it has.
Well, it's interesting. The Morins came to see us about a week after they found Rachel's body. And they all sat down in our conference room and they said, we need help. And I said, well, look, we've got DNA. We've got a doorbell camera that shows this suspect. They're going to catch this guy in no time, right? Weeks went on, nothing new. So we decided, let's start doing something proactive here to see if we can help the detectives. We started with digital campaigns across, because we knew he was in California and Maryland, where we were putting up digital campaigns in Spanish-speaking language because we knew he was an Hispanic male. We then sent flyers to 80,000 plus people in the neighborhood around the house where he committed the crime. We actually figured out where the house was based on Google Maps. We sent 80,000 people flyers out there with his picture, with the doorbell camera, and with Rachel's information as well. And we'd raise more money. We said, look, there's $35,000 on the table. Come to us, tell us his name, no questions asked, here's $35,000. Then we went a step further and we had Patty shoot a commercial that we started running later, right before he got caught, because we figured he was probably coming in to the southern border. It'd been going on too long. As attorneys, we thought, this isn't making sense that nobody knows this guy. So we shot a commercial with Patty and ran that along the southern border, as well as Los Angeles and Bel Air, pleading for somebody to come forward and identify this guy.
So come September, investigators continue to gather evidence and conduct interviews. And on June 14th, they do identify this Martinez Hernandez, who's 23, unlawfully present, Salvadorian, through DNA gathered from clothes that his family gave to law enforcement officers and investigative genetic genealogy. Finally, he's arrested now in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this guy's just running all over the country, shouldn't even be here at all. And he's running all over the country. I think he was picked up in the Tulsa County Jail. Is that right, Randolph? They got him out of the Tulsa County Jail?
They actually arrested him in a bar in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That's right. They got him in a bar.
Yeah, they got him in a bar. And we learned during the trial that this was just hours after they'd gotten that DNA hit in Maryland from the Maryland State Police. The detectives worked so quickly, they were able to get a warrant. They pinged his phone, found it in Tulsa, called the Tulsa PD and said, we got a guy who's a murderer. We need you to go grab him. They immediately go over the bar, they go in and they grab him there and they capture him.
Man, it is so good to hear that. And, Patty, what was it like sitting through this trial? Because I know you had to hear a lot of things, because this was a brutal, brutal crime. And as I say, I don't want to sensationalize this and traumatize you further, but what was it like having to sit through this trial?
It was so very, very hard, very emotionally draining, because now we have all the puzzle pieces and the bits and pieces of information that we didn't know before. So this painted a very vivid picture of what happened to my daughter.
Did you take the opportunity to view the body?
I did. When I had gotten back to Maryland, and they had kept the body for a couple of weeks to do whatever investigators needed to do. When it arrived at the funeral home, I went to look at the body to see if it would be presentable for the children to view it. We had a family-only funeral. We didn't invite public or anything. And so I can't tell you all the things, only just whatever has been made known publicly, because the case hasn't gone to trial yet. But I can tell you that the state's attorney says it's the most gruesomest crime that they have ever seen in Harford County in all these years. And I can attest to the fact that it truly was just a horrible, horrible crime. To see somebody that you love and to see what has happened to them and imagining what they've suffered. It's like so heartbreaking, especially if you're a mom, because, when I found out that she was missing, mother's first instinct is to go run to your child and hold them, and then to comfort them, and then to see my daughter there, and to know that we weren't there. And then, you run through your mind those scenarios. Well, if I was here, I could protect her, which we know that's probably not a likely thing. But so it was just really very hard to see her and to know what's actually happened to her.
I do want to give a couple of details, only because I want people to realize how brutal, how gruesome, and how violent this attack was, because it's not like anything that we see in America. It is so horrible, and we have this happening all over the country. He dragged my daughter. Somehow he hit her on the back of the head or something. He dragged her 150 feet to hide her in a drain culvert. So you have 150 feet of blood gushing from her head as he's dragging her into this culvert to hide her. They showed pictures of the crime scene where you see her body outlined on a wall in blood because the blood is gushing from her head as he's throwing her up against the side of the tunnel to rape her. And then they showed autopsy pictures where there is a 6-inch space in the back of her head that was shattered like you would crush an eggshell. She had hemorrhaging in 3/4 of the brain. She had 3/4 of her head, right, left, back, smashed in. Her face was broken. She had literally contusions, wounds, scrapes, bruises, literally all over her body. And you could see the marks where he strangled her. And they had shown autopsy pictures where he strangled her so hard, it went through all the muscles, all the way down as far as you could possibly go in a person's neck. It was all like blood in the muscle from it. So it was an extremely, very, very violent. He smashed her head against rocks at least 20 times. It was just a 6-inch cut across her forehead. It was so extremely very brutal. And to have to sit and see those pictures and to hear how he treated my daughter, and then to see him sitting in that courtroom with no remorse. I think he actually thought that he was going to get away with the crime. It was so heartbreaking because as a mother, you want to protect your child. And you can't. We weren't there. And now to know the extent of the horror that she went through, it was just very, very hard. So that's part of the reason why I'm really very grateful. In hindsight now, seeing how the detectives kept the integrity of the case by not sharing details, and how that they were able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt because of all the DNA and just the timeline and just everything that he truly is the murderer. So I'm so grateful that this vicious person is no longer going to hurt another woman. And but I want Americans to know that there are more like him in our country. And we need to do everything we can to protect American citizens.
Have you checked your home title recently? Many homeowners never have, leaving themselves vulnerable. Scammers can steal your home title, forge your signature, and target your equity. Protect yourself from fraud before it's too late. Secure your title and your financial future today. You won't even know it's happened until it's too late. Ensure you're not a victim. Use promo code PHIL at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any change, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code PHIL. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code PHIL. Despite some post-election optimism, Wall Street is already bracing for a rough rest of 2025. When Warren Buffett starts dumping blue-chip stocks and stacking up cash, you've got to ask yourself, what does he see coming? I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. When uncertainty is this high, smart people look for stability. That's why physical gold and silver might just be what your finances need. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025,
You cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil, that's DRPHIL to 50505 today.
This is an animalistic attack. And I know that Rachel is a mother of 5, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but this is your daughter that you sat in your lap as a child and played with and taken care of when she was sick and nurtured and kept safe in your arms. What do you say to yourself when you see these horrific images of somebody doing this to your own daughter who is totally innocent, just out in nature, taking a walk? What do you say to yourself about that?
I don't know what to say. It's like, you hold your baby, you nurse your baby, you care for your baby. It's like she's a part of me. And to have somebody do such violence in such a like you said, such a savage and animalistic way, and to feel helpless that you can't do anything to protect or to save her. It is like a mother's worst nightmare. I can't even describe to you the heart-wrenching feeling. It's like when he tore my daughter apart, he tore my heart apart too. Like he because that's how a mother's connected to her children. And to it's like some things you just disassociate because it's so painful and it's so gruesome. And how can you make sense of it? You can't.
Well, you can't, because you can't make sense of something that's so evil because you don't have the ability to go there.
Yeah.
You don't have that evil part of your mind, your spirit, your brain, which is an everyday thing for someone like this. And people think that too much is made of this, maybe, but the simple fact is this person didn't even have a right or reason to even be in the United States of America. One simple fact, if this person isn't allowed in the country, Rachel is with her 5 children today. Of course, an American citizen could have done this, but they didn't. It wasn't an American citizen. It was somebody that did not even have the right to be on American soil, but they did, and they came here. They had just gotten through molesting a 9-year-old child in LA and then comes out here. This is a predator. What is it that people don't get about this? I don't understand that. What is it that people are not getting about this?
Yeah, I think I just want to hit on a quick point you made is that we don't get this mindset, the way he thinks, because we're not this animalistic way of thinking and hurting people. So that's a great point that you make. And remember, this suspect is also wanted for the exact same crime in El Salvador. He did this to another woman, allegedly, before he left El Salvador, which would presumably be why he left. He knew that he was going to be in trouble because he just raped and murdered a woman there. So he flees to the United States. And you're right, Dr. Phil. This was a failed immigration policy under the Biden-Harris administration that they allowed this to happen. And if you look at today, under the Trump administration, how those numbers have gone down to just minute numbers trying to get across the border. Before we were having tens of thousands, and him being one of those. 3 times he tried to get across and stopped. And mind you, he never even got stopped and never got fingerprinted or taken any biological data of him. And then he comes across the 4th time in El Paso, Texas, and he goes on this crime spree in the United States. So you are exactly right. Preventable death. Had he not been allowed to come into this country, Rachel Morin would be here today with Patty and her 5 children.
Yeah, it didn't have to happen, and it did. And you're certainly using Rachel's life, and I'm not saying the lesson is worth the price, but you are using her life in this way to make this point and drive it home. I think y'all know I work with Tom Homan, the border czar, a lot. This is clearly on his radar. We've talked about it before the trial started. I have a call in to him now to discuss the verdict and all, but this is what drives our borders are to do what he's doing to get these criminals off the street. And his philosophy is the worst first. Let's find just this kind of person and get them the hell out of this country right now so we don't have this over and over again. So, Patty, talk to me about the 5 kids at this point. How has this impacted them and how do they feel about the verdict?
Well, we had 2 of Rachel's daughters testify in court. We had her 14-year-old and her 19-year-old because they were the last ones to have communication with her. And I can tell you that the 14-year-old, when we went to court, we were asked to really control our emotions so that the jury has an opportunity to hear the evidence without any prejudice one way or the other. So not to show emotion if you needed to leave the courtroom. And we wanted to have a fair trial for this person because we wanted the verdict to stick. So we wanted it to be a fair trial. So her youngest daughter, who was 14, that gave testimony, she was so heartbroken because she's the last one that spoke to her mom. She was trying so hard to compose herself on the stand, but couldn't. So you see her sitting there, holding back tears, trying to answer the questions without breaking out into a sob. And then after, when she was dismissed and she's walking out of the courtroom, she composed herself long enough to walk out of the courtroom. As soon as the back doors opened for her to walk out, you just hear these heart-wrenching sobs of, I just had to relive the last few minutes I had with my mom. And she never came back. And, all those things are running through her mind. And she's still grieving. So this just brought up that pain and that reality all over again. And I believe the same for her oldest daughter, even though her oldest daughter was a little more composed. It's like that for all of her children. And I think because of their ages, this is going to be a long-term thing of, as they grow and mature and understand more and more the details, they're going to revisit the grief and the loss. So their grieving is going to be over years, not, months. So it's been very hard for them.
Well, I'm certain it will be. And the thing is, you cannot really get about the business of grieving and the work of grieving while you're in the warfare of justice. When you're fighting for justice, when you're trying to make sure that you're representing your lost loved one, you're in battle mode, you're fighting, you're being vigilant, and you can't really do the grief work that you need to do until that's done. Hopefully now that you have a measure of justice, you can give yourselves permission to, lower your vigilance and diligence on that front and give yourself permission to grieve. Give yourself permission to start spending some time with your feelings and your thoughts and your memories of Rachel and with Rachel, and the kids can actually take some proper time to grieve the loss. Do you feel like that's something that everyone can get to at this point?
I think so. I think depending on the individual and how because everybody processes grief differently. And there are some hallmarks that are coming up. Rachel's birthday's in May, Mother's Day's in May, and then August will be 2 years, of the anniversary of the crime that happened. So I think all of us feel relieved because there is a guilty verdict. Like you could see it among the siblings. Physically, their bodies relax. Like finally, we did it. There's an end. But now, over the last few days, you can also see everyone is kind of like gone to their corner, so to speak, to be with their emotions and their thoughts and to allow themselves to feel all those emotions that they kept locked up while the trial was going on and while the investigation was going on, because we were unsure if they were actually going to find someone. If they did, was it the right person? And if it was the right person, would there be a conviction? So now we can put all those questions to rest. And so there is a measure of like relief and relaxation, so to speak, to the body and to the emotions. But it will still take time. But I do believe I have a very strong family and a very close family. And so we support each other. So I think it is on the way.
You're right. Everybody grieves differently. And I really feel the need to say to you, there's a lot of research about stress, and the number one stress that anybody can have in their life is the loss of a child. It doesn't matter whether the child is young or the child is grown. It's not the natural order of things. Our children are supposed to bury us, not us bury our children. It's not the natural order of life. It's the number one stress. And then within that category, the worst situation you can have is a sudden death of a child, as opposed to a long illness, for example, that you can adapt to across time and get ready for a little bit here, a little bit there, and you never get ready for it, but you can at least begin to adapt. The worst sudden death is when it is violent and they're taken from you through a crime, a violent crime. So, Patty, you're dealing with the number one stressor that anyone can go through in life. Tip top, number one on the list. And that's what you're having to deal with. So you have to really take care of yourself in this and be patient with yourself and understand you're going to have good days and bad days. And with having her 5 children and then yourself and those that love and care about you and support you and around you like Randolph and others, there will be days that you're really down and others are not having as hard a day. They can lift you up, and there'll be days that you're not having as hard a day and they are, and you can lift them up. But you have to be patient with yourself. And I promise there'll be maybe 6 or 8 weeks from now, you'll find yourself standing in the kitchen and there'll be something on the television, some silly sitcom or something will be on the background, and you'll reflexively catch yourself laughing or giggling or something, and you'll go, oh my God, I have a brutally murdered daughter. How can I be standing here in the kitchen laughing? What a horrible mother I must be. And that is absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. That's a pressure valve, just like you pull it and let some pressure off for a minute. And that's just God's way of letting a little pressure off so you don't just explode. That's not being a horrible mother. It's not forgetting what happened. It's just a little crack in the seam to let a little pressure off. And you will never, I don't care how many people come by and pat you on the back of the hand and say, time heals all wounds and you'll get over this. Time heals nothing, and you'll never get over this. You'll get through it. And the best thing in the world that I can tell you is to talk about it. It'll come Christmas time. You say, oh, it's a holiday. We don't want to have to think about or talk about. Yes, you do. You want to hang her stocking on the mantle. You want to talk about it. You want to keep her pictures up. Your goal is that her memory brings joy, and that replaces the pain at least some of the time. That when you think of her, you laugh. You think of wonderful times that you spent together. It's cathartic to talk about it and share stories and celebrate her life instead of just the pain that was caused. And hope you can embrace that and lead the children through that, because that's the goal. She was a wonderful woman, and she would hate to be a source of pain every time her memory came up or her name came up. She wants to be a source of joy. So hopefully that can be a goal. And sometimes people confuse that if they hurt less, that they loved less. That's not the case. It's just a change in your relationship. And hopefully that'll be something that you can strive for. It's not a betrayal of her memory, and it's not letting go of the horrible thing that happened. It's just embracing the good things about her and not giving your power away to that animal that did what he did. You choose to remember why you loved her and why she was so special instead of the day that he did what he did. You celebrate the process of her life, not the moment that that jerk did what he did. You can't let him dominate the rest of your life and your memories about her. And I hope that can be something you can hold on to.
That is so very well said. One of the things that we've been doing as a family, I have sons that live in different parts of here in America and then overseas. And once or twice a week, we will do a video phone call, and we'll talk about the pain that we might be feeling. But the pain is always like, I remember Rachel, or this came up on my Facebook page. It's a memory from a year ago. And we'll laugh about her silliness or just whatever that memory was. But then at the same time, we allow ourselves to cry and not feel ashamed to express that emotion too. So I think that we're on that path to both embracing it's okay to grieve her, but also we're not going to get stuck in this grief, that this is a process, like you said, and that we need to remember her life, and we need to, like, for lack of a better word, is have this circumstance and this event that happened to us, it kind of like it walks beside us. So it never leaves us. And we acknowledge it. But at the same time, we don't have to give attention to the negative of it. But it still just will be a part of us. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You want to celebrate the process of her life, not the moment of her being taken away from you. And it doesn't mean you forget it. It just means you don't focus on it.
What's it been like for you to see your daughter's face become part of a political issue?
At first, I was really angry because I love my daughter. My daughter was, she was an awesome woman. We were opposites. I'm an introvert. She's an extreme extrovert. So sometimes we rubbed each other the wrong way. I have old ideas. She had new ideas, as far as parenting and things like that. But it was a good, healthy relationship. I just loved her. And I didn't want her reduced to a name attached to a political banner, like for this, the left or to the right. I wanted people to see her for who she was, a very valuable person, because life is precious. We have homes, we have jobs, we have all those things, but all those things are temporal. The only thing that has real value in this life is the relationships that we have and the people that invest in us and we invest in them. And I didn't want to reduce her life to just a name or a picture. So at first I wanted to be very middle of the road, not choose a side as far as political is concerned. I just wanted to honor my daughter, and I wanted to honor life, and I wanted people to see that each person here, that you have value for who you are, and that we as a nation should be protecting our neighbors. We shouldn't allow this to happen and just say, oh, it's not going to happen to me. There's 20 million people in our country. At some point, it's going to start happening to people.
I'm so glad that this level of justice has been obtained. And Randolph, I just have to say, I've spent a lot of my time in the litigation arena, most of my professional career, and just God bless you for your help here and what you're doing with this family and what you have done, because you didn't have to do this, but you have. And I think everything you've done here has given such comfort and guidance, and I know you'll continue to. Just God bless you for what you've done and what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We were having lunch during the trial, and I actually said to Patty and the other siblings, I said, I kind of feel like a member of the family. And Patty looked at me and she said, you are a member of the family. So I appreciate just the support that the Morins have shown, just to allow me to be there for them. And we've had a a tough 19 months. We've had a couple of laughs along the way, and I thought that was, like you said, kind of that valve releasing. And so, it's been an honor to be with them.
Well, I know it's exactly how you must look at it. And just both of you know that my platform is yours, and anything that comes up and anything that you're working on or developing, just all you got to do is just pick up the phone, let us know. My platform is yours. Anything we can do to help and keep her memory alive and the things that you consider important, you let us know. My platform is available to you anytime that you've got something that you need to get the word out on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope that there will be some things down the road. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm not just saying that. Try me and see. We'll get the word out on anything. Thank both of you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, sir, for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Randolph. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
All right.